All right, clap your hands once if you can hear my voice. Clap your hands 2 times if you can hear my voice. Yeah, let's get ready. It's Wednesday morning. Let's get excited. Let's get pumped up. We got one more day until we got our final exam for Unit 3 coming up tomorrow. 2-day exam. Going to be good. Going to be nice. And then we're on break and we'll be drinking eggnog and eating gingerbread cookies. So, okay. I saw a lot of us had a lot of trouble on this warm-up, which I was surprised. So if that's the case, we got to hit SQL Zoo more. We've got to hit SQL Bolt more. We should definitely be able to do a problem like this quick. First, before I go into this, I want us to just talk about joins a little bit, because a lot of us still seem pretty confused on just how do I join two tables? All right. So we have our select statement, whatever, doesn't matter. We have our from, and then we're listing some table. You can think of this as this is the current table we're on, okay? Then we say something that has to do with our join type. Then we say the table that we want to add. This is the same pattern always. Then you say on, and you say how our from table is connected to the table we want to add. So it's almost always our from table dot that ID, that main ID, equal to the table we want to add dot whatever foreign key it has that points to our from table. This is the same pattern for pretty much every join that you'll ever write. Questions on how that's working? Okay. Then let's look at it. So, if we know that, let's not even think about this problem for now, and let's just join these tables, which we were given some description. Right, we've got two tables, table person, table address. Where do these tables connect? What column do they have that is identical? Yeah. Person ID, right? We've got person has person ID. If I made this table, I would have just called it ID. And then we have address, which also has person ID. That's where they connect, right? So if I just said, all right, so select. So for now, I'm not even going to try to solve the problem. I'm just going to try to join these things. So I have to have some kind of select statement here. Select star. So this is going to grab literally everything. From, and then we have to decide which table we want as our foundation, our base, which makes good sense for this kind of problem. Person, sure. Because we're getting back mostly, and we know that, I know we're not solving this one yet, but it says provide a report that provides the following information for each person. So we're kind of all right, so the person is probably the foundation. So I'm going to go ahead and write person. Now, if I want to join, I have a lot of options, right? We have join, which is AKA inner join. We have left join, which is AKA left outer join. We have right join. We have full outer join. We have cross. We have tons of different joins, most of which we don't need. Most of them we only really need to know is inner join and left join, but we'll get to that. And so the one we've been working with is just inner join, and we all went like this. Join is okay. So that's join type. So the next thing that we have to say is what? Right, so the table that we want to add into this picture. So we already have person. We want to add address into the picture. So I'm going to say address. Now the next thing on that thing I think says on. It always says that. And now we have to say how the two tables connect. How does person connect to address? Well, we already determined that's person ID. So we're going to say person dot person ID equal to address dot person ID. Questions on how that's working? Right, these two columns point to each other. They share that. That's where they connect. That's the only place these two tables connect. Reach.
Why are we using dot notation?
We use, well, partly just because that's like the formula for when we join. We have to say which table and which column connect to which table and which column. So if I just said person ID equal to person ID, or if I just put ID equals to person ID, it might get confused. We want to be literally as explicit as possible. If a dog learned how to read, we want that dog to understand the join. We'd want it to know exactly what the tables are and which columns the tables are connected to. Capiche? Awesome. All right, so if we run this, we're going to see something, probably not what we want. And we see that we got this certain input and our output really didn't show much at all. We needed Allen wing, null, null. We go, okay, well, we were just writing this to connect them. Yeah?
What is that actually? The values Allen wing. We always see that.
What is this?
Yeah.
This is the desired output.
Okay.
This is the values we want to get back when we make our SQL call.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
About that. I guess to kind of clarify it. So now, I'm not sure where those the nulls are coming from. Are they coming from address?
Yeah. So we're going to get into that. We haven't really broken this problem down yet.
Okay.
But just hold tight if it doesn't get explained. Yeah. Okay. So let's get to this problem specifically. No. So this is our inner join. This is our regular join. Inner join, join. We have been using this almost exclusively, so much so I think a lot of us forgot that other joins existed. Just fair. We've mostly just been using this. But there are more. First things, let's go through this actual problem. And we go, oh, okay, there's a table. Interesting, interesting. This problem's called like merging tables or something. So we're like, all right, that also, combining two tables screams join, right? It's a join problem. Yeah.
Why? So before you tell us how to get like null values in the table, why would we want a table? Why would we want to return a table?
Interesting. What do we think? Ben, go for it.
Well, I mean, they're null now, but they may not be null in the future. You want to keep it open, so potentially you can fill it up.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe. Yeah. Leo?
Yeah, this for the last name and first name, so we want to keep all the person over there, but without that. That's
Yeah, so that's even more specific. So why would we want null values? Well, what if someone doesn't have an address? Are homeless people not people? No, they're definitely still people. So we want to still include them in our result. We just don't have an address for them yet.
Another real world example that I can give you is that it was, so on the kind of text to pledge app that I made, it was optional whether or not you wanted to provide a message, right? But I still wanted to include like all of the pledges regardless of whether or not they had a message in them, right? So I used it in outer join on that in order to like get all of the messages, including the ones with no values in them.
Anyway, we haven't actually got to the outer join. We're still reading the problem. And so we're saying, all right, write a SQL query for a report that provides the following information for each thing. So this is telling us what we want back, right? This sentence here is saying, hey, whatever your query does, I don't care, but what I want back from it is first name, last name, city, state. So when I read that, the first thing I do is I change my select to reflect that line. So I'm going to go, okay, first name, last name, oops, city, state. Great. Questions on how I derived to choose those 4 things? Max?
Like, I recommend use the table where first name comes from. Like, first name, that first name.
That's a great question. So, Max says, how come I wasn't so explicit on this one? How come I didn't do person.first name, person.last name, address.city, and address.state? So I could. I most definitely could have done that, and it would still work. Maybe you could argue that that's even better practice because it's extremely explicit. I didn't do that because I was following what they gave me, but also because these aren't columns that are shared between 2 tables. So it's not like we're doing humans and pets where they might both have a first name and last name. Then I have to be explicit if I want it from the person first name or I want a pet first name. If it's for me, tell them I'm busy. We have to be explicit. So we might have a human first name and we might have a pet first name. So we have to like let them know. But when we're dealing with a house or like an address and a human, right? Our address doesn't have a first name. So SQL is smart enough to go, well, this column only is on this one table. So I'm going to take it from that one. Cool? Oh, Max disappeared. Okay. So we keep going through the problem. Oh man, I'm like really fired up on the coffee right now. So now it says, so we did that, but if we look at this line is really interesting, right? It tells us a lot more. It tells us what we wanted to get in the next line, but this line here said, right, provide the following information for each person in the person table. And then this next part is where it gets really exciting. It says, regardless if there's an address for each of those people. When you read something like that, where we know we're joining tables and it wants results regardless of how they connect, that screams outer join. Okay? Immediately you should think left join, outer join. Because that's the only way we're going to get null values back when we join tables. So this line right here, this regardless if there's an address for each of those people, this screams some kind of outer join, left join. Because if we want it, no matter what, it's saying this sentence is essentially saying, give me all of the people and give me their addresses, and even if the address is null, I still want those people. So how can we do that? The only way we can do that is through the left joins. So the only way that we know how to do it. So that sentence is where the whole problem is. If you read that sentence right and you interpret it, the problem is like an instantaneous thing. But that's where that's the secret sauce. So, what does that mean? Regardless. So to talk to what Bain mentioned earlier, he said, what's the difference between a left join and a right join? That's which of the 2 tables mentioned do we want all of their values. So if I did a right join here in this situation, I would get all of the addresses, whether or not people live there, for sure. And if I did a left join, I would get all of the people, whether or not they have addresses. However, when it comes to doing left or right join, right, we could switch these orders.
Yeah.
So you only really need to know left join in that sense. I've never written a right join. I've just switched things. Yeah.
So a join doesn't give you no values, and left or right join gives you no values to any.
Yeah, but you only really need left join. Think of it, and this is your base. This, we're gonna have all of this, and then we're gonna take whatever from over here connects to this, but we're still gonna have this.
So,
Regular join says we start off with all of this, and we've got a bunch of this, and then wherever these connect, those are the ones we want.
third, the keywords inner join and outer join. So your join is by default inner join, but when you add left, it becomes an outer join. Left outer join.
Yeah, so let me see if I can just visualize the change. What's that? Oh, there it is. Thank you. Right, so join default is inner join. Right? Left join is left outer join. Those are the default values. Okay, so if we want all of the people and we don't, and we want their addresses, but if the address doesn't match up, we just want it to say null, what can I do? What can I change here? If I want all of our people, regardless of their address, but the ones that do have addresses, I want those, what can I change to my code right here? Michelle. Yeah, right. I can change my join type. So we have join type, the table we want to add on the from table dot the column name that connects to the table we want to add dot its foreign key. So I can say, I just have to change our join type. Now if I submit the code, it works. Right, so yeah, Dave.
What's wrong with the full outer join?
The full outer join is going to give us everything on the left side, which is like person we can think of, right? And all of those persons will have there, and if they don't have an address, it will say null. And then it will give us everything on the right side, so it will have all of the addresses. And if they don't have people at those addresses, it will say null. So you end up with twice as much. The tables, the joins you will use the most is join and left join. If you know those two like that, it's really going to help you. Like big time. Max.
Select and select.
I guess you could. I'm not going to go over that. I really think this is significantly better practice.
I mean, like, why would we do
What?
It wouldn't be wrong in this case because there are no null values in the person, in the people's names in this table. But if there were null values in the people table that we did not want to include, then it would be wrong. That makes sense.
I really want to keep the code clean looking. Abed.
So, person table has the person ID and the address and the person ID.
Yes.
Why doesn't join give us values?
So what, a little bit louder. Sorry.
So even though like there are the IDs matched
Mm-hmm.
for join, two tables, why did you give us like
The-
values
For the null values? Great. So Ovid's question is, well, address has person ID, and person has person ID. How come we need to do? The question is essentially, why are we using a left join instead of just a regular join? Well, the answer is because if the address's person ID is null, meaning it doesn't point to a person, or actually other way around, if the person doesn't have an address, so there's none of the addresses are pointing to that specific person, if we do an interjoin or inner join, regular join, we will lose those people. Just how it works. It's only going to give us back the columns that connect. So if I have 5 people, 2 of which don't have addresses, and I have 3 addresses, right? Inner join goes like this, and it gives us back 3 people, 3 addresses. Left join goes like this, and so we have 5 people, 3 addresses. Does that help? Yeah, the hands help? Okay. Good. Got the dragon. Any other join questions? We really want to feel comfortable with join. There's a lot of times you'll probably write join in your life, even if it's just in a coding challenge or interview. Or not.
Knowing that case where there are like many people but not many addresses, the right join will not help. It's just gonna be like.
Yeah, so the right join would look like an inner join in that situation. Because we would still get all of our addresses and we wouldn't get the people. Yeah.
It's funny because like, I think this is sort of counterintuitive because full outer join like says, okay, we don't care if there's null values on either side. Whereas right join says, we don't care if there's null values on the left side. And the left join says, we don't care if there's null values on the right side, right? So that's a little bit weird, but once you get the hang of it, you only have to remember those 2. Yeah.
You said right join doesn't care about null values on the right side or left side.
On the left side. Right join it is saying like, okay, all of the stuff on the right is going to be real and not null. And left join says, okay, all the stuff on the left is going to be real and not null. So it's a little counterintuitive because full outer join, you would think that would ensure that both sides are fully real, right? But full outer join, in fact, like says like loves all null values, right? Full outer join says like left side, right side, if it's null, doesn't matter.
Eileen.
Just like stupid question I asked. Join something on, when you join it on something, then something's have to be identical. It has to be put to the same thing.
Yeah, so they're the 2 columns that are referring to the same.
So the person ID or the actual ID has to be that single person.
Yeah, so to be really specific, we're going to have our from table, its primary key, typically, pointing to the table we wish to join, and the foreign key that points to that from table's primary key.
For example, if we tried to join on like person.firstname and address.city, right? It would only work if there was a person with the first name Madison and somebody lived in Madison. You know what I mean? Like otherwise it would not work at all.
Yeah.
Just to visualize and based on what Evan asked. So the person ID, let's say it's 1, you have a name, the person last name. Then when it comes to address, the address table, the person ID, let's say it's likely 2, there's no 1, so therefore that's why. And it's 7 action. So,
Yeah, we're saying we still want person 1 to show up as a result just without an address, Right, if this is like if we were a census people and we wanted to account for all people, whether or not they had an address, while if we were a magazine company that wanted to spray magazines all over the place, then we'd probably only want people with addresses. Cool. Okay, so use the rest of the morning to study, go over your practice exam.
And then in the afternoon, we're going to be like going over the entire practice exam in preparation for tomorrow. Some of you, I think, have submitted a finished practice